And I think that's very much needed today, because I know there are some forces out there on that street corner.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even have to leave the house to go to the corner. Sometimes you just stay in the house.
Right.
And sometimes there's some forces even within family that discourage you. I don't know why you wasting your time going to ICC.
Yes. Right.
I went there and I haven't got a job yet, or I don't have this and so.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, the most important person that you will ever run into won't be a Martin Luther King or anybody else. Is that person you see in the mirror. That's a person that will be with you for the rest of your life. That's the person that you'll have to look out for and care for. And as that person in that mirror grows, so will your ability to help others who become a part of your life, whether you ever have children, whether you have a mom, whether you have a grandmother, whoever it is you choose to want to try to help in life. Before you can help others, you got to, first of all, have a stable life of your own. It's like saving a drowning man. You can't save anybody if you don't know how to swim. And education is your way of learning how to swim the currents of life. And sometimes it can get very discouraging and tumultuous, but I'm quite certain, just by what you've said here tonight, that you're focused and you're going to make something of yourself. And as I said, that's what Martin Luther King was all about, was to see to it that you have the opportunity that you've chosen here at ICC, and it's one of the best deals I can think of. I mean, the education here is no greater or no less, other than in price, than if you were going to a Bradley, Illinois. I went to graduate school at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame now runs like $50,000 a year.
That's a lot of money, right?
And I'll be honest, it's no greater in terms of the kinds of jobs. If you want to go into a communication or whatever it is that you choose to go into, you're getting a big bang for a buck, and you're getting a springboard into life. And then after ICC and whatever, if you decide you want to go to Harvard or Notre Dame or anywhere else, you'll be in even a better position to do that. But the main thing is you've continued to climb the ladder of education, which will lead you to greater opportunities than had you not gotten the education that you're getting in. Where are you from?
Peoria.
Oh, you are a Peoria boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
born and raised in Peoria. Richwoods High School. That's all my people out there from Richwoods.
Okay. All right. And I have a South Bend, Washington Panther.
Yeah, class
Sitting
of 2007.
2007. Well, I was, in fact, I went to Washington High School when it wasn't even just a high school. It was just called Washington School. I started there in the first grade, and as I moved up, the grades behind me disappeared, and by the time I got to the 9th grade, it only became a high school, and the school that I attended was the one on Sample Street.
Oh, the downtown.
And then they built the new high school when I was in college, and when I graduated, the principal at that time wanted me to come back, and that's how I ended up being a high school English teacher at Washington High School, the new one, the one that you probably graduated from. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
well, it's awesome to meet a brother from South Bend, and particularly one that walked the halls that I walked or taught in. And I'm glad to see that you're part of ICC. I've had a close relationship with Egbert Bryson and Dr. Rita Ali, as well as your president here at the university. And I've served on some committees in terms of working with ICC. And again, the two of you exemplify what ICC is all about.
Thanks.
And as I said, what Martin Luther King is all about. Well, we're going to be taking a break. And again, I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts, your time about education and what your dreams are. He had a dream. I want the two of you to maintain a dream. But more important than just dreaming about life, I want you to do what you're doing, work to make your dream a reality.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Mike Banks, founder of CAPtions, some 36 years ago. It seems like it was just yesterday. I want you to be sure to catch our special feature where we were on location at the Illinois Association for Community Action Agency's Winter Conference. we took an in-depth look at the struggles confronting your community action agency. You be there. See ya.
Welcome back again. We're going to continue our discussions in commemoration of Martin Luther King, and as you can see, I have two new additional guests. I have Isaac Payton and Egbert Bryson. Gentlemen, welcome to Captions.
Thank you. Thank you for
I would love to have the two of you to kind of share some of your thoughts in terms of where you are and your thoughts as it relates to Martin Luther King and things that would apply to individuals who might be watching tonight to inspire them as hopefully Dr. Martin Luther King may have inspired you. You too weren't born during the time that he was alive, but
Right.
is there anything that you've heard or seen or read about Martin Luther King that has put you in the position that you're in today? And by the way, what are you now doing today?
What I'm doing now today is I'm working with video and photo editing down at PCCEO, volunteering, help getting the message out to the community, so everything Dr. King stood for, I'm a standing proof, a living proof that, we have come a long way, with people, the way things are going in the world, we're working together now, because back in the day, people like me couldn't even, well, not just me, but you, Mr. Bryson, black people, everything was cut off from us, we had to use separate bathrooms and water fountains. We weren't getting treated right, but now if you look at that, and compare it to where we at today, there's been a lot of change. But I got a lot going on, just taking my time and planning.
Well, that's great. That's great. Are you a Peorian or are you from outside of Peoria?
I'm actually from Peoria, born and raised.
Okay.
26 years.
Well, I'm glad to see that you're still here. A lot of people, when they grew up, can't wait to get away from here, just like a lot of folks from other places couldn't wait to get away from where they were and ended up here like I did. What are your goals? Do you have any career goals in terms of what you would like to be or be doing in the future once you finish what you're doing today?
Once I finish, actually, I feel like my work is never over, just helping. My job, I'm looking at it like I'm just helping people, so just help getting the message out, that you can do more, you can become somebody. You don't have to run around with any guns or you don't have to let anyone kill your dreams, and tell you can't do this or you can't accomplish anything. So, yeah, it's a lot you could do. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it to a whole nother level, I'm thinking about I'm going to get in school coming this next semester,
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Get into some multimedia and just go from there, Got a couple of business ideas, a lot of things I'm working on, but it's just going to take time, from planning. It's not just going to happen, you got to actually make steps,
Right.
At the same time, when you do have a vision and, so it's all, all praises, to Mr. King, and everything he stood for,
Okay, well that is great. Well, Egbert, you've been on the show a number of times, and the gentleman that's sitting here to your right kind of represents your mission in life, and that is to work with young people in general, men in general, and African American men in particular, in helping them to harvest their dreams, to plant a seed toward their dreams and move toward their dreams. How has Martin Luther King, because you're old enough to remember him as a person and not just a picture.
Yeah, I do remember him.
How has whatever he did in his life or said in his life kind of inspired you for the mission that you've found here in life, in particular here in Peoria and particularly at Illinois Central College?
Well, I'll tell you, Andre, if it wasn't for Martin Luther King, I wouldn't be here probably talking to you. I wouldn't see myself here at ICC. I went through the, I'm going to call it through the front lines when segregation was ending. I had to go to, many of y'all in the audience, Woodruff, Manual, they didn't look the way they do now when I attended school. The schools were predominantly white. And I had to come through on a bus with police protection.
Oh, wow.
from the outside as well as the inside. And I was called the N-word every day. And it was not a learning environment. So I've seen those. I was in Taft Homes when the police came through with the tracer bullets that shot through all the buildings, going through apartments like they were paper. I've seen that. I've seen the dogs. I've seen the water hose. I've seen the police brutality. I've seen the marches. But as I look now, Martin Luther King and the times that we went through, you know, I guess the best I could say for Martin Luther King is, to me, he's kind of done the ultimate thing, a thing that most Americans thought would never be possible. And we can see it every day through Barack Obama.
Right.
We have our first black president. You know, probably in your day, probably in your father's day, particularly your grandparents' day, that was something that most African Americans would imagine, but many wouldn't dare say. It'd be more likely to say that could never happen in America because of the history. But America has come a long way.
Well, to be honest, during my father's day and my grandfather's day, not only would they not have it imagined, they weren't even allowed to vote.
That's absolutely right.
They weren't even allowed to vote.
That's
Let's
absolutely
don't
right.
be voted for or vote for someone that reflected who they were in terms of their color or that type of a thing. So yeah, there's been some major changes for the good and for the bad. I'm certain that Martin Luther King would smile to see some of the progress we made, but at the same time, and maybe you can share your thoughts, I think he would also be disappointed with the street violence and the destruction that we have in our own African American community today, including Peoria, Illinois. And I know that's one of the things that you've often been concerned about through all the workshops and the seminars and so forth. What are your thoughts regarding his thoughts with all of the destructive behavior that we have, or as you may call it, the self-destructive and the self-handicapping behavior?
Yes. Well, Andre, I tell you, just on a college campus, some of the things that I see with students still calling themselves the N-word, with the sagging pants, the B word, still the disconnect. More disappointing than that is when asked individuals, Martin Luther King sacrificed his life so that you wouldn't have to call yourselves the N-word or call yourself a B. That was a sacrifice. And I ask students many times, the same question you just asked me. What do you think that Martin Luther King's impression would be of our behavior? And as we looked at the educational system, we have 1.2 million students dropping out of high school annually, and the bulk are students of colors, direct pipeline to prison. That's not what Martin Luther King was about. The black genocide, the gangster lifestyle, that's not what Martin Luther King was about. The thing that saddens me the most, though, is that I see so many young people who don't even know the legacy of Martin Luther King. And those are students who are in college, don't even understand the legacy of Martin Luther King. They may say, well, I heard of him. Okay, good. Well, what did he do? Didn't he do something? Wasn't he marching? Didn't he get killed or something? So that is a sad realization for me, particularly realizing that if it wasn't for Martin Luther King, the student would not have the opportunity to be here. I would not have the opportunity to be here. It just opened up so many doors, but to this present generation, it just seems like that many don't understand his sacrifice, and that's what it was, a sacrifice.